Go back to 2002, back to that era when everything started. The future giants have not yet risen, and the tumultuous youth has not yet ended. Standing at the forefront of the times and memories, Changchang, who rose with the wind, fell into contemplation. Should I choose the first love in my past life or the new love in this life? Or, perhaps, give up making choices? Keywords of the novel. After Rebirth, I do not want to do multiple choice questions without pop-ups. After Rebirth, I do not want to do multiple choice questions. Download the complete text. After Rebirth, I do not want to do multiple choice questions. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. How I Was Reborn. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. How I Was Reborn, Zhejiang Province, Orange River City. How do I feel like you're a bit absent-minded today? A sedan parked on the roadside, and Luo Xinmei, the driver, turned her head to look at the handsome boy in the passenger seat. Her eyebrows raised slightly and she said, "You're so abnormal today." On weekdays, he always manages to find topics to showcase his talkative abilities, but today, he has been silent since coming out of home. Perhaps he's thinking that after entering college, he can finally fall in love, said another girl in the back seat, who was about the same age as the boy, Lin Buting. Then let's have a passionate, undisguised, sensory-stimulating, shameless experience. Stop and stop. Luo Xinmei quickly waved her hand, feeling a bit amused. Your brother is not this kind of person. The girl smiled and said, Aunt Luo, my brother is in the final stage of adolescence. He hasn't been in a relationship since middle and high school, and now he is in a state of accumulating knowledge and accumulating wealth. Luo Xinmei raised her eyebrows and looked at the boy. It was obvious that the girl's words had stirred up some worries. She said with a hint of sadness, long-term, college dating is possible, but don't let it delay your studies. The boy who had been staring out the window was called Changchang. At this moment, he turned his head and stared at Luo Xinmei. She is an extremely beautiful woman, with a snow-white melon seed face, curved willow eyebrows, sorrowful phoenix eyes, a white jade-like cheong nose, bean sand red lips, and a milky white sleeveless tight-fitting T-shirt held high. A deep blue half-length skirt stretched over her lower body, making her appear gentle while also showcasing her extremely mature figure. However, her age seems quite ambiguous, between a senior sister and a mature woman, carrying a dignified and elegant taste. Luo Xinmei, Aunt Luo, said she was an aunt, but she was not his mother's sisters. Her relationship was complicated, but in a word, she was now half his guardian. He turned his head again to look at the girl in the back row. The girl sitting in the back row, who is about the same age as him, is called Gu Qingqian, the twin sister of his mother. Gu Qingqian wore a sun hat, a slightly oversized white T-shirt, and a pair of cropped jeans, simple and pure. Perhaps due to the slightly hot weather, her fair and pretty face had a faint blush, her peach blossom eyes had a smile, and under her delicate cheong nose, there were natural cherry red lips. The delicate corners of her mouth were slightly raised, indicating a good mood. Even with a bare face, it's hard to conceal her alluring beauty. Brother, Gu Qing said as he saw Gu Changchang looking at him, his smile on the corner of his mouth getting stronger. What do you think? Gu Changchang gave her a cold glance, and he took a deep breath and looked at Luo Xinmei. Aunt Luo, you've thought too much. I know what's important and what's not. Let's go, Qingqian. Go and get the admission letter. Gu Qingqian chuckled and got off the car with Gu Changchang. After closing the car door, they walked towards the school gate. Luo Xinmei looked at Gu Changchang's back with a slight frown, feeling that something was wrong with Gu Changchang today. What's wrong with you today? Your mood has been very chaotic. After getting off the car, Gu Qingqian and Gu Changchang walked side by side. They were twins of the same mother, and they could clearly feel the change in each other's mood. This feeling was very wonderful. If I say, I traveled back from 2019, do you believe it? Gu Changchang sighed lightly and said. Why are you crazy? Gu Qingqian raised her eyebrows slightly and smiled, you haven't woken up yet. Gu Changchang knew she didn't believe it, after all, he couldn't even believe it himself. He actually was reborn from 2019, which is truly numb. In 2019, at the age of 35 and with a net worth of hundreds of millions, he had already retired from the stage and lived a very comfortable life. Occasionally playing golf with friends, traveling with Gu Qingqian on a whim, occasionally talking to Aunt Luo, learning things that I didn't have time to learn before, such as playing the piano, talking about a girlfriend when I was bored, and kicking to find a new one when I got tired. Anyway, there is never a shortage of beautiful women in the world, and it's not about playing real relationships. He enjoyed his retirement life in advance, and then woke up to find himself back in 2002. I guess I haven't woken up yet, Gu Changchang said in a daze as he looked at the crowded school gate, the retro-looking cars outside, the songs playing on the street speakers, and the noise coming from the crowd. He felt a bit dazed, as if there was a serious sense of disconnection between himself and this era. Did I have a dream for 17 years, or did I really return to the present after 17 years? He is a bit confused. As he was lost in thought, Gu Changchang felt his hand being held. He lowered his head and saw Gu Qingqian squeezing his 5 fingers between his fingers, slowly interlocking his 10. Your heart is so chaotic, Gu Qingqian looked at him and smiled. It's really rare. Gu Qingqian can feel the chaos in his heart, and he can also feel the calmness in Gu Qingqian's heart. The chaotic emotions gradually calmed down, and Gu Changchang slowly regained his composure. This is a special ability of the twins, which is very wonderful, but the two have had this ability since childhood. He looked at Gu Qingqian, and Gu Qingqian also looked at him, with a slightly raised corner of his mouth and a faint, calm smile. She held his hand, and the sense of detachment that was out of place with this era gradually faded away. Gu Qingqian was like adhesive, tightly bonding Gu Changchang with 2002 once again. Song came in my ears. How many people have admired your youthful appearance? Who is willing to bear the merciless changes of time? How many people have come and gone in your life? I know that I will always be by your side with you throughout my life. Shuimu Nianhua's life with you. Speaking of which, the person beside him has been with him since she was born. Gu Changchang smiled and said, it used to be me comforting you, but I never thought there would be another day when you comforted me. Because you are an older brother, of course you should take care of your younger sister. Gu Qingqian proudly looked up at her chin, like a proud white swan, with a sense of reason in her words. I'm only a few minutes older than you, Gu Changchang said. A few minutes is also big. Gu Qing smiled lightly and looked delicate. You are my brother, and I am my sister. Gu Changchang's smile was somewhat helpless and also somewhat spoiled. This sister has been the same since childhood. It's okay, it's okay. Although I don't know why I was reborn after sleeping, since I was reborn, let's just do it. Although there is nothing left, at least I still have Gu Qingqian and Aunt Luo around me. Money can be earned again, and it is easier to earn than in previous lives, but the extra 17 years are particularly precious. Thinking about it, I earned it myself. Win. Gu Changchang let go of Gu Qingqian's hand and walked forward. Let's go and get the admission letter, he said. Do you think we got into Zhejiang University? Gu Qingqian quickly followed up with Gu Changjiu. What if our grades deviate too much and we can't get into the same school? Zhejiang University is the most excellent first-tier university in Zhejiang province, and it is also the school that the two siblings will attend in the future. For students from Zhejiang province, if the score line is sufficient to enroll in Zhejiang University, there is basically no need to choose, unless your college entrance examination results are enough for you to go to Tsinghua University. Zhejiang University already has excellent educational resources, and it is too close to home, which cannot be compared to other prestigious universities. Changchang City is only a 2-hour drive from Linen City, where Zhejiang University is located. Although the grades of the siblings are very good, they cannot reach Qingbei, so Zhejiang University is naturally their first choice. Why not? For example, if you fail the college entrance examination or something like that, Gu Qingqian pressed down on his sun hat. The sun in Xinjiang was really scorching. It seems like this happens every year, and your college entrance examination results are far inferior to your usual exam results. You don't have confidence in yourself. Gu Changchang looked up at the big characters above the school and said, Changjiang Middle School. There is something, but I still feel uneasy in my heart, Gu Qingqian sighed. Don't worry, no matter what, we will all go to the same university, just like a shadow accompanying us. Accompanied by his shadow, Gu Qingqian recited it lightly and then chuckled, somewhat coquettishly. The relationship between siblings has always been very good, even at the age of 35. The two of them approached Changjiang High School, where there were many students like them who came to collect admission letters. The admission notice for 2002 was still sent directly to the school, and I don't know what other schools are like. On the side of Changjiang High School, the order of choices was filled out before the college entrance examination. Choosing preferences before the college entrance examination results in students having to estimate their college entrance examination scores based on their daily exam results. The consequences of this can be imagined. If the college entrance examination scores are lower than the estimated scores, they will naturally fail, and if they are higher than the estimated scores, they will be able to enter Tsinghua University and Peking University. Fortunately, in the future, it has been changed to parallel volunteering, otherwise this system would still make many people regret it. The two of them walked into the campus and encountered acquaintances all the way, warmly greeting each other like siblings. Actually, it's mainly to say hello to Gu Changchang, who has a good social connection. And what about Gu Qingqian? Although Gu Qingqian may seem a bit mischievous in front of him and Luo Xinmei, she is actually extremely afraid of strangers. From childhood to adulthood, it is difficult to find 10 people who can speak, my friend. Not a single one. The siblings are vastly different in this regard. Gu Changchang has a sunny and outgoing personality, while Gu Qingqian is cold and secluded in front of outsiders. That is to say, Gu Qingqian is so beautiful that many boys have a very high tolerance for her. Otherwise, she would likely become a little transparent. Gu Changchang actually wanted to take the initiative to greet them. These classmates were all very familiar, but when they spoke, they couldn't shout each other's names. Gu Changchang sighed a bit. Other rebirths can remember the answers when they return to the college entrance examination. Why can't I even remember my personal name? Isn't it true that I, the so-called rebirth, came to make up the number? End of this chapter. Chapter 2. You lie. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 2. You lie. The two crossed the playground and arrived at the front of the teaching building. In front of the teaching building, there is a yellow kudzu tree of unknown age, with a very thick trunk that can only be surrounded by 4 or 5 students holding hands. The branches and leaves are lush, and it is as tall as the teaching building. Many students like this tree because every summer, it always blocks the scorching sunlight for them. At this moment, many students are gathering under the tree, unsure of what to discuss. Arriving at the shady spot under the tree, Gu Qingqian took off the sunshade hat from his head, shook his flowing hair, and looked at the crowd over there with a smile, saying, "Is it Mu Handan?" Mu Handan. What a familiar name. Are you also my former classmates? Gu Changjiu didn't take it to heart. No matter how beautiful a high school girl is, where can she be more beautiful than Gu Qingqian? He stared at Gu Qingqian for a while, then touched his pocket and found a tissue. He took out the tissue and wiped his sister's sweat. Speaking of which, I am actually 17 years older than Qingqian now, and it's not bad to raise my younger sister as a daughter, hee. Who is it? Our school's fan of 10,000 people, have you forgotten? Although you don't have much interaction with her, you shouldn't be blind and unable to recognize her, right? Gu Qingqian looked up with a smile at Gu Changchang, who was wiping his sweat. Gu Changjiu is a good student that teachers really like in school. No smoking, no fighting, no early romance, and good academic performance. At this moment, Gu Changchang, who had little interest in love, naturally did not pursue the so-called fan of 10,000 people, and did not even take a few more glances. More attractive than you. Gu Changchang let go and smiled. Just a tiny difference from me. Gu Qingqian raised his chin, proud and proud. Gu Changchang was surprised that it was rare for a girl to receive such an evaluation from Gu Qingqian. For Gu Qingqian, girls who are not as good looking as her and boys who are not as good looking as him are all ugly. At present, except for Luo Xinmei, it seems that all other women are ugly. In the future, those around us who are not ugly can be counted with just one hand. At least those girlfriends that Gu Changchang has found in the future are all ugly in Gu Qingqian's view. She is quite proud of herself and Gu Changchang's appearance, but their appearance is indeed quite outstanding, and she has the capital to be proud. If it weren't for Gu Qingqian's personality flaws, she could still be considered a so-called fan of the school. Oh, by the way, there is a term in the future called school flower. My younger sister will definitely be able to be the most beautiful school flower. If you can say something like only a tiny difference from her, then you must not be inferior to her. Gu Changchang was somewhat curious and couldn't help but start searching for the figure of the name Mu Handan in his memory. His eyes were also in the crowd, searching for the girl who should stand out from the crowd. Although Gu Changchang was not interested in love during high school, he later became wealthy and changed women more diligently than clothes. At this moment, he felt a bit of radar activated. He has always been a devoted person who only likes two types of women, one is called a young girl and the other is called a mature woman. It's a bit familiar, but Qingqian said he doesn't have much interaction with her. Gu Changchang got closer, and Gu Qing saw that he was interested. It was a bit strange because in the past, Gu Changchang wouldn't even take a second glance at Mu Handan when he saw it. Why is it abnormal today? But she still followed Gu Changchang closer. I like you. Please be my girlfriend. As soon as the two approached, they heard a boy loudly confessing his feelings. And the person he confessed to seemed to be the only girl in the crowd who had a good appearance and could argue with his sister. The girl has a tall and slender figure, and it feels like she is not much worse than Gu Qingqian. Gu Qingqian is definitely tall among girls, especially those from the south. She has a net height of 172 centimeters, while the other person seems to be only slightly lower than Gu Qingqian, estimated to be around 170 centimeters. The girl is particularly beautiful, with skin as white as condensed fat. She is not inferior to Gu Qingqian in terms of frost and snow. Her facial features are extremely beautiful. Her eyebrows are as delicate as mountains. Under her tall nose, there is a slightly shiny cherry lip. Maybe she has applied lipstick. The most special thing is actually those eyes, their gaze calm and distant, somewhat erratic, as if they are not focused on the present, but on the distance. Seemingly close in front of us, but actually far away in the sky, within reach but within reach. A girl with a special temperament, as if carrying a bit of fairy charm, somewhat like the ancient-style beauty of the future, but very natural, indeed very beautiful, growing up in his mate selection criteria. And this temperament doesn't seem like a girl who just graduated from high school should have. Is she Mu Handan? Good familiarity. Am I Mu Handan? Gu Changchang looked at her, frowned, and finally remembered who she was. Her expression became subtle. The tall and beautiful girl was Mu Handan, who slowly shook her head and used a very simple and useful reason for rejection. I'm sorry, I don't plan on dating until I graduate from college. The boy who confessed his feelings turned pale, and after a long silence, he turned around and left. You're lying. You've been in a relationship with me for 4 years in college, rolling sheets for 4 years. If it weren't for proper protective measures, you would have been pregnant long ago. Gu Changchang laughed in silence. This Mu Handan is actually his girlfriend of 4 years in college, and it is also his true first love. Although their relationship ultimately ended in separation, they naturally had genuine feelings between each other, as both were each other's first love. Speaking of which, why didn't I remember it for a while? It's really strange. Gu Changchang looked at her calm appearance and fell into contemplation for a moment. That memory, for him, can also be considered a relatively important memory. After all, after 4 years of college, Mu Handan has already integrated into his life. When it comes to college, it is only natural to think of Mu Handan. Gu Changchang regained his senses and noticed that Mu Handan looked over for some reason. He gave her a sunny smile. Mu Handan withdrew her gaze and calmly walked out of the crowd towards the classroom office next to the teaching building. The two of them passed by in the wrong direction, and Gu Changchang could even smell the faint fragrance of shampoo and her unique light floral fragrance on her body. That's her body scent, it smells great. Gu Changchang used to love it very much, and now it's similar. There is a saying in this world that if you can smell the scent of the other person and develop a sense of pleasure, it indicates that your genes are complementary to theirs. To put it bluntly, your genes chose her. Whether this theory is truly scientific will not be mentioned for now, but it is quite useful for deceiving young girls. Gu Qingqian glanced at Mu Handan and then at Gu Changchang, her eyebrows slightly raised. She clearly felt that there was a certain emotion in his heart that she had never felt before. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Setting a Small Goal. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Setting a Small Goal. Gu Changchang and Gu Qingqian also walked towards the teacher's office. Gu Qingqian looked at the back of Mu Handan in front of him, frowned and said, "Your emotions are so strange. Why haven't I felt them before?" Gu Changchang smiled and said, "Because I haven't had this kind of emotion before." "What emotions?" Gu Qingqian asked. Gu Changchang didn't answer and quickened his pace. "You speak quickly." Gu Qingqian quickly followed up with Gu Changchang, feeling somewhat dissatisfied. "Is it related to Mu Handan?" Gu Changchang originally wanted to say that you would know it through your own experience in the future, but when he thought about it, Gu Qingqian was still a leftover woman in her 30s. He couldn't help but feel a little sad in his heart and explained, "I like her." "Who?" "Mu Handan." Gu Qingqian looked at him incredulously. "When did you start liking her?" "Starting from a past life." "Since just now?" "You fell in love with her at a glance." Gu Qing saw that Gu Changjiu had not answered, and his tone was surprised and urgent. "You are? Are you going crazy? How could you just fall in love with her at a glance, brother? That's not like you." "Well, yes, I crave her body." Gu Changchang looked at Gu Qingqian and saw her almond eyes wide open, as if eager to prove that she didn't like her appearance and couldn't find the appropriate wording, which made him feel a bit amused. "I have feelings when I see the color," Gu Changchang said. "Yes. Yes, yes. You have feelings when you see the color." Gu Qingqian nodded forcefully, but she immediately reacted and pursed her lips. "So you know. Isn't it okay for her to be your sister? Law. Gu Changchang whispered, "Her family is very wealthy, and we will never worry about food and clothing if we get to know her." "That's not my money either, I don't want to rely on others," Gu Qingqian snorted coquettishly. "But she's not ugly. If she has a good attitude, I can accept her as my sister. Law." After speaking, she frowned again and said, "How do you know that her family is very wealthy? When did you get to know her?" Although Mu Handan is very famous in school, she is actually quite low-key and has a gentle personality and attitude in her daily life. She has a good popularity. It is also very mysterious. Her attire are not considered luxurious, and she has never shown the wealthy side of her family in her daily life. Gu Changchang smiled and didn't answer her. As memories of Mu Handan were recalled, he also remembered Gu Qingqian's attitude towards her. She didn't like Mu Handan very much in her past life because she felt that Mu Handan's gaze was always fleeting, while Gu Changchang's gaze was always on her. This shows that Mu Handan's feelings for him are far less profound than his feelings for him. Is this really the case? Not really. Gu Qingqian couldn't understand Mu Handan, even he didn't fully understand her. The past is like smoke, it has been more than a decade. Mu Handan is still Mu Handan, and I am no longer that myself. The two of them arrived at the teacher's office and found their homeroom teacher, Liao Shaoqing. She is an old teacher at Changchang High School, in her 40s. She has been teaching here for more than 10 years. She is strict in the classroom and friendly in the classroom. She is probably the kind of good teacher that many people think is the standard. Although I have never returned to my alma mater in my past life, I have visited Liao Shaoqing several times and met him and Gu Qingqian. I know that they are now very wealthy and in a particularly good mood. Perhaps for teachers, their biggest dream is to have peaches and plums all over the world. Although dreams are dreams because they are not very realistic, watching their former students rise to fame now makes them feel proud. When Gu Qingqian came in, he was nervous and bit his cherry lips nervously. His heart was beating fast, and there was also a slight unease in his clear eyes. She was worried that the difference in scores between the two would be too big, leading to going to different schools. In that case, the two would either retake the exam together or separate, and she was unwilling to accept either option. She instinctively stood behind Gu Changchang's side, and for her, Gu Changchang in front of her was a wall that could always make her feel at ease. Seeing the siblings, Liao Shaoqing smiled and found their admission letters, handing them to them. You two are really good. You both got into Zhejiang University. Don't slack off if you don't go to the university, she said. Gu Changchang was not nervous at all. After all, he had already known that he and Gu Qingqian could pass the exam, so he smiled and accepted the admission letter. Gu Qingqian finally felt relieved. She took the admission letters from Gu Changchang and held them in her arms, with a slight smile of pride and satisfaction on her lips. Gu Changchang pulled Gu Qingqian over and then bowed to Liao Shaoqing first, saying seriously, meeting each other is too hasty, and the flowers on campus have turned red several times. Friendship lingers in my soul and dreams, and deep kindness is always in my heart. Teacher Liao, you have worked hard for 3 years. Upon seeing the situation, Gu Qingqian also bowed to Liao Shaoqing. You. Liao Shaoqing reached out and helped the two of them up, her eyes almost squinting with a smile. If you really think I've worked hard and will enter society in the future, don't forget to come back and see the teacher. This statement is actually quite empty. Not many students will come back to see their teachers after leaving school, and Liao Shaoqing probably doesn't think that Gu Changchang and Gu Qingqian will really come back to see her. Gu Changchang chuckled and said, I will definitely bring Qingqian back to see the teacher in the future. He doesn't know what others think, but he will definitely come back to see the teacher. Gu Changchang is not only popular among students, but in fact, he is also loved by teachers. Although he is not the person with the best grades, he is particularly generous and has strong organizational skills. Coupled with his good popularity among students, he is a natural class leader. Except for the first semester of high school, Gu Changchang was the class monitor for the other 5 semesters. Liao Shaoqing patted Gu Changchang's shoulder. She always felt that after Gu Changchang entered society, he would definitely make a name for himself. He is unlikely to be buried. She took out another admission letter from the admission letter and handed it to Gu Changjiu. This is Li Yuzhen's admission letter. She called me yesterday and found out that there was an elderly person at home who passed away and had to be filial. She couldn't come back, so she wanted to entrust you to take it back first. Later, she came to you to pick it up. Do you remember that you and she seem to be in the same community? Yes, her house is in the building next to mine, and I will send it to her later. Changchang took the admission letter and glanced at Jianghai Conservatory of Music. He really has an impression of Liu. He was one of the few high school classmates he had contact with when he was 35 years old. She was a girl, but there was no ambiguity between the two. Changchang never found acquaintances when looking for women, so it was difficult to get involved, and even if he did, it was not easy to kick her. Liao Shaoqing nodded. Changchang was very reliable in handling affairs, and asking him to help bring the admission notice book was Li Yuzhen's intention, so there was nothing to worry about. After greeting Liao Shaoqing, Changchang and Qingqian left the teacher's office. There are still many students gathered in the school, who are unwilling to leave and want to see their alma mater more. Farewell now. I don't know when the next time I return to my alma mater or see my familiar high school classmates will be. Brother, you don't seem to be sad at all. Qingqian looked at Changchang, who had been walking all the way with a smile on his face. He then looked at the reluctant students and couldn't help but speak. There is no banquet that never ends in the world, and sometimes when we gather, do you still want to see me cry? Changchang smiled as he heard the words, and his footsteps did not stop. In that case, it seems a bit different from you. Qingqian thought about the scene and couldn't help but laugh. That's right. Changchang and Qingqian walked to the entrance and heard the loudspeaker playing Zhang Yusheng's "My Future Is Not a Dream" on the school gate. My future is not a dream. I take every minute seriously. My future is not a dream. My heart is moving with hope. Changchang turned his head to look at the school, the yellow kudzu tree that still stood blocking the sunlight for the teaching building, and the students on the slightly nostalgic playground who were still nostalgic and hesitant about the future. He sighed lightly in his heart, but in fact, he was also a bit confused. The past 17 years, like the school behind him, have become a thing of the past. Although I don't know why he returned to 2002, after all, he didn't have many regrets to make up for. His smooth life may have left some melancholy and lamentable memories, which have long been swept away by time. But since I'm back, if I don't do something, I feel a bit sorry for my renewed youth and the 17 years of hard work. Always stand higher than in your past life, always be happier and happier than in your past life, in order to prevent this new life from appearing wasteful. If rebirth itself does not have any meaning, then I will give it meaning. Set a small goal to enrich your spiritual and material life more than in your past life. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Will you marry me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Will you marry me? The two of them returned to Luo Xinmei's car, opened the door, and sat in. Luo Xinmei was holding a folding fan and was whistling here. When she saw the two of them coming back, she drew some tissues and wiped the fine sweat on her forehead. She asked, "How are you doing? Did you pass the exam?" Changchang was about to speak up when Qingqian proudly said, "Of course I passed the exam." At this moment, she was completely free from the anxiety before receiving the admission letter, but like a proud white swan, as if everything had been under control since the college entrance examination. Changchang smiled but remained silent. Luo Xinmei smiled when she heard the words. She put down her folding fan and said, "Let's go. Where to play this afternoon? You decide to go to the internet cafes, and I will accompany you. Where you want to eat in the evening, you the final say." Qingqian didn't say a word. She looked at Changchang and there wasn't anything she particularly wanted to go to. Changchang turned his head and glanced at her before saying, "Compared to going out to play, I still want to go home. The delicacies outside are not as good as Aunt Luo's home-cooked dishes." Luo Xinmei smiled happily and said, "Then go home." Qingqian also smiled disdainfully. Brothers' flattery skills are simple, natural, and refined. Luo Xinmei started the car and asked, "It's still a long time before the start of college. Do you plan to do anything during this time?" Gu Qingqian remained silent. I haven't figured it out yet. Gu Changchang, who has been with Gu Qingqian for 35 years, knew that as long as he was present, Gu Qingqian would become completely indecisive and didn't wait for her to speak. Aunt Luo, do you want to go to Linen first? Don't you need to look for a job first? It's easy to find a job. Luo Xinmei turned the turn signal and looked at the rearview mirror with a pretty face on her side. When you go to Linen, it's not too late to look again. Also, during college, do you have to live on campus or outside? Gu Qingqian then spoke up and said, I want to live outside. Gu Changchang turned his head to look at her and said, I want to live on campus. I also want to live on campus. Gu Qingqian immediately changed his tone. Luo Xinmei glanced through the rearview mirror at Gu Qingqian sitting in the back row, feeling a bit amused. Why do you want to live on campus? Luo Xinmei also knew that Gu Qingqian's position was like a small boat in the big waves in front of Gu Changchang, flipping over as she said. The person she asked was naturally Gu Changchang. I want to make more friends at school, Gu Changjiu smiled. However, I will be staying on campus for the first semester and may not continue to live there in the future. Qingqian, listen, make more friends. Why don't you want to make friends? Luo Xinmei couldn't help but sigh upon hearing this. Gu Qingqian looked out the window and said, I just haven't met any friends worth making. No encounter. It's clear that you don't want to make friends, Luo Xinmei said sorrowfully as she drove. Now your brother is by your side, he can help you solve problems, talk to you, but your brother will eventually leave you. He will have his own life, marry and have children, and always allocate his energy to people outside of you. What about then? Without your brother by your side, are you just like this? Isn't there still Aunt Luo? Gu Qingqian smiled lightly upon hearing the words. Luo Xinmei had nothing to say. She whispered something, but Gu Changchang and Gu Qingqian didn't hear it. They live in an old-fashioned community, 6 floors high, without an elevator, and their home is on the 3rd floor, not particularly high. After taking the siblings home, Luo Xinmei ran out to buy groceries. The two of them went upstairs, and Gu Changchang took out the keychain. He searched for it, but forgot which key it was. Gu Qingqian waited for a while beside him, but saw him flipping around, but he didn't open the door for a long time. He raised his eyebrows, reached out his hand, snatched Gu Changchang's keychain, and took it over to open the door. She pushed the door open and walked in, taking off her sneakers and socks. Although Gu Qingqian often sweats on her face during the day, like Luo Xinmei, she doesn't sweat from her feet, so she doesn't smell at all. Gu Changchang was pretty much the same. When the two of them entered, Gu Qingqian changed into sandals and ran to the bathroom to wash his face and feet. Gu Changchang put on his slippers, bent down and placed Gu Qingqian in his own shoes in the shoe cabinet. He took their socks and walked into the room. I have never returned since graduating from high school. I went to Linen, where Zhejiang University is located, during my college years, and there was no need to come back after the holiday. After all, Aunt Luo also went to Linen with them. After graduating from college, I started my own business and basically traveled around Linen, Jianghai, and other places. Perhaps Aunt Luo and Gu Qingqian have been by his side all along, so there is no need to touch the scenery and develop feelings. However, when I return to this home at this moment and think of leaving in a month or two, there is also an indescribable feeling in my heart. After all, I have lived here for over a decade. Even though I haven't returned for many years, I still feel familiar with the decoration of the room. His room is at the innermost, the master bedroom. He walked into his own room and looked inside. There aren't many decorations in the room. There's a double bed, a desk, and a bookshelf full of various books. Under the bookshelf is a silver-white notebook, a standing photo frame, and a flower. Gu Changchang looked for a while, walked into the bathroom, washed the socks of the siblings first, then walked to the living room balcony to cool down, and then returned to his desk in his room. In the photo frame, he took a photo with Gu Qingqian and his mother. He reached out and covered it, then picked up the flower next to him. Under the flower, there was also a paper that had been folded several times. The flowers grow on the branches, like some kind of shrub flower, with red petals and a hint of dew on them, making them charming and charming. Is this Yingshan red? Also known as azaleas, did you have the habit of collecting such things before? Gu Changchang has some doubts. It seems that the flowering period of azaleas is around April or May. It's already July, and azaleas should have withered long ago. He put down the flower, picked up the note, and slowly opened it. Will you marry me? There is also a date written next to it, August 24, 2006. In 2006. Gu Changchang's pupils shrink slightly, a note from 2006. Is this whose prank? From the elegant font and content, it appears that it was written by a woman, but unlike Qingqian and Aunt Luo's handwriting, there is still a sense of familiarity. August 24, 2006. He graduated on August 24, 2006. He remembers that towards the end of August, he took Mu Handan to the airport, and the two officially broke up at the airport. Is that August 24? He can't remember very clearly. Thinking of this, Gu Changchang couldn't help but associate the elegant font with Mu Handan. Originally, he couldn't remember Mu Handan's handwriting, but at first glance, it seemed that there were indeed some similarities. What does this represent? Is it difficult for Mu Handan to be reborn? Gu Changchang was taken aback for a moment, feeling extremely puzzled. Was this note and flower sent by Mu Handan? If Mu Handan is reborn, why would she send herself flowers and notes? Gu Changchang pondered for a while, suppressing various thoughts in his heart. It seemed necessary for him to search for Mu Handan. What was going on? Perhaps by probing her, he could get the answer. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Future Plan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Future Plan. Gu Changchang folded the note and casually picked a book. He was about to clip it in, but after a moment of thought, he stuffed the book back in and took out his Nokia. He opened the battery cover and placed the small note on top of the battery to cover it. Then, he returned to the living room, looked around, found an empty vase, took some water, and returned to the room, throwing the azaleas inside. After doing all of this, Gu Changchang sat at his desk, flipped through a diary, tore a page off it, and immediately took a pencil. Although I don't know what exactly happened to that note, and whether Mu Handan has really been reborn, what needs to be done is still to be done. Gu Changchang wrote the words, making money, at the top. Both material and spiritual aspects seem to be inseparable from money. After all, only with money can one freely pursue the spiritual realm they want. When it comes to money, as a reborn person, he has many means of making money. However, buying lottery tickets is definitely not suitable for ordinary rebirths, because Gu Changchang never likes to rely on luck as his hope. He has never bought lottery tickets in his past life, nor studied lottery tickets, nor even played with any spinach, so he does not know the winning numbers, and buying lottery tickets naturally becomes a myth. If it's related to spinach, it seems that only the World Cup has long been known to Gu. But the 2002 World Cup in Korea and Japan has come to an end, and the next World Cup will be in 2006, which is 4 years later, after graduating from university. After 4 years of rebirth, he will inevitably experience the butterfly effect, unless he can act like a robot and completely follow the trajectory of his past life. However, his memory of this moment is very vague, and he cannot do it without saying it. He cannot waste 4 years of time. These 4 years are enough to do a lot of things. Gu Changchang drew a line down and wrote the words, entrepreneurship. Since we have returned to 2002, we must make a breakthrough. After graduating from his previous life, he started his business with the rise of the internet and later transformed into a new media. Although he was finally tired of the internal power struggle and withdrew from the circle, the internet is still his old business. In 2002, the domestic internet industry was experiencing the foam crisis at this time, and it is difficult for those who study the internet to get jobs. But who knows that after this year, the industry will usher in a turnaround. In fact, there is no need to wait until next year. In October 2002, the internet foam crisis will have ended. Therefore, from now on, the internet industry is also feasible and has a bright future. Changchang drew several lines and wrote down online shopping, SNS, and takeout. To be honest, the initial investment in online shopping was too large, and he doesn't have the capital now. Moreover, TB was pushed out in 2003, and when they pushed it out, they invested $1 billion in capital. Although there are still 8 months left until May 2003, it is not realistic for him to compete with TB and immediately earn $1 billion. He is just a rebirth, not a deity, which is not realistic. Without money, I can't play the JD system, let alone the future PDD system. If you want to make big money immediately, you cannot do without a large amount of capital. Only with money can you slowly roll the snowball. Since he wants to start from scratch, he cannot take too big a step to avoid dragging the egg. In terms of online shopping, the initial investment must be large, so it is not something he can choose now. As for takeout, there is currently no such soil, and the current level of infrastructure cannot support such products. After thinking for a long time, Gu drew a circle on SNS. When it comes to SNS products, we have to mention things like Facebook, Twitter, QQ, WeChat, and Weibo, as well as Douyin. But what Gu Changchang had in mind was that apart from QQ, nothing else has yet to emerge. Is there anything to learn from here that can help him start from scratch? After thinking for a long time, Gu finally wrote down his first goal. On-campus network. This is the path of Facebook's success, as well as the path of Renren in China in its past life. The most important thing is that it is very approachable and does not require much investment in the early stage, because its main group is the students in those universities. Gu Changchang turned his pen and carefully considered all aspects. Finally, he took his notebook and wrote down his plan in detail. And name it, Inter-School Network. After Gu Changchang finished writing, he looked up and took a deep breath. Then he noticed that Gu Qingqian appeared next to him at some point. She changed her cropped pants and wore a shorter and cooler short skirt. Her height of 172 centimeters was really oppressive, and her legs were even and slender, extremely beautiful. Gu Qingqian's legs are mesmerizing, but she's not just legs. Everything else is perfect. She and Luo Xinmei greatly influenced Gu Changchang's aesthetics, causing him to have extremely strict requirements. In his past life, for so many years, only a Mu Handan walked into his heart. There are many beautiful girls in the future, but beautiful ones like Luo Yi, Qingqian, and Mu Handan have never been encountered again, so he always finds it easy to get bored. She was carefully reading what he had written with her head tilted. Gu Changchang couldn't help but smile at the situation and handed her the diary to prevent her from looking around. Gu Qingqian naturally didn't hesitate, took the diary and read it carefully. In fact, she couldn't quite understand it, and some of the words inside made her feel very unfamiliar, such as, campus BBS, 6-degree network, and, surrounding the city from the countryside. She can understand many words, such as the paragraph, hormonal factors are always an important driving force in the development of all social media, but when she strings these together, she feels a bit confused. This is a business plan. Do you want to start a business? Although Gu Qingqian couldn't understand the content inside, he knew what it was because it was written too meticulously, covering everything from birth theory to website design and subsequent promotion methods. This is what I planned to do when I was in college. Gu Changjiu smiled and said, "Are you interested in participating? If there's you, there's me." Gu Qingqian put down his diary and proudly looked up. "I'm sure I can be of help." "That's natural, let's just talk about Gu Qingqian's beauty. When promoting it on campus, it can help Gu Changchang." Gu Changchang smiled and closed his diary, then asked, Aunt Luo hasn't come back yet. I'm back, already busy preparing dinner. Aunt Luo bought a lot of meat, including pork, beef, and lamb. Sigh, I clearly don't like meat. Gu Qingqian nodded and complained slightly. Gu Changchang remained silent, and you were the only one in the family who could eat meat the most. Neither Luo Yi nor I could have eaten meat for you. If it weren't for forcing you to eat vegetables by myself and Luo Yi, you wouldn't even touch them. You told me you don't like to eat meat. No matter how you eat, you won't be able to gain weight, otherwise Gu Qingqian would have become a chubby little guy. By the way, don't you plan to let Mom come back? Gu Qingqian paused for a moment and then asked cautiously. Gu Changchang raised his eyebrows upon hearing this and smiled, saying, Do you think Aunt Luo is not good? Gu Qingqian pursed her lips and said, I just forgot. Anyway, my stance with you is the same. Gu Changchang stood up and smiled, patting Gu Qingqian's fair and pretty face. Let's go and help out in the kitchen, he said. Oh, Gu Qingqian stood in place, not responding to Gu Changchang's touch. Upon hearing this, he lightly responded. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Caught her in her own fish pond. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Caught her in her own fish pond. As soon as the siblings walked out of the room, they noticed a small and cute civet cat in the hallway. It looked like it was only 3 months old, and it crouched there quietly watching the two of them. Gu Changchang looked at it with some surprise. He remembered that after graduating from his senior year of high school in his previous life, he had found a civet cat that had been around for about 3 months. The cat was very long-lived and had been with him ever since. This is the cat that Aunt Luo turned back when she went to buy groceries, Gu Qingqian explained. Aunt Luo said it followed her all the way, and if it followed her back home, she would raise it, and it followed her all the way. Obviously, when Gu Changchang was writing the plan, Gu Qingqian already knew the origin of this cat. Gu Changchang walked over and crouched in front of it, reaching out to touch its head. It is very gentle, actively rubbing its hands with its head. The more you look at it, the more it looks like your own cat, isn't it really? If it is, then it is really fate. There was no collar, but the fur was smooth. Gu Changchang picked it up and smelled it, and its body was fragrant, not like a wild cat. He paused for a moment, then looked again and found that it was really a female cat. All of this can be matched with the past life, and if that's true, it's really fate. After Gu Changchang found the cat in his previous life, he even posted a notice to find its owner, but no one contacted it. Over time, Gu Changchang gave up and instead raised it himself. Luoxinmiai loves it very much. In simple terms, from childhood to adulthood, there is nothing particularly interesting about Qingqian. Has Aunt Luo named it? Gu Changchang hugged it and asked with a smile. Gu Qingqian tilted her head and could feel Gu Changchang's love for the cat. I haven't had a chance yet, why don't you give me a name? Well, let's call it Jiuming. Gu Changchang said, this is the name he gave his cat in his past life. The civet cat meowed softly, as if in agreement. Jiuming. Generally speaking, it's called Xiaobai, Xiaohe, Xiaohui, or something like that. Gu Qingqian also crouched beside Gu Changchang and reached out to touch Jiuming in Gu Changchang's arms. But this name sounds quite nice. Jiuming is a cat full of spirituality, and it has many talents, including backflips. Gu Changchang rubbed its head, put it down, and went to the kitchen with Gu Qingqian. Wearing an apron, Luo Xinmei was busy in the kitchen. Today was already hot, and as she got busy, Luo Xinmei sweated a little more. As she approached, she could smell a strong aroma. As the name suggests, the fragrance of flowers is like the rose in the name of Luo Xin rich but not greasy, only making people feel relaxed and happy. Perhaps this is what we call fragrant sweat. Perhaps Gu Changchang's DNA also chose Luo Xinmei. However, Gu Changchang feels that this statement is not very accurate. After all, Gu Qingqian is also quite popular, and his DNA can still choose Gu Qingqian. Aunt Luo. Gu Changchang walked into the kitchen, rolled up his sleeves repeatedly, ready to take action. Let me help you cut vegetables. No need, you two must rest well today. Luo Xinmei quickly wiped the water stains on her apron and then pushed Gu Changchang out of the kitchen. Today was originally meant to reward you, there's no reason for you to come and help. Hurry up and do something else. Although Luo Xinmei's voice was warm and gentle, it exuded an undeniable strength. Upon hearing this, Gu Changchang did not insist and returned to the living room with Gu Qingqian. Jiuming jumped over and lay on Gu Changchang's lap. It seems like it really likes you, Gu Qingqian looked at Jiuming, true family, it's just our first day here. Gu Changchang scratched his chin and chuckled, but his thoughts drifted away. He said he wanted to find Mu Handan, but now he doesn't know where Mu Handan lives. The two of them were only acquainted in college in their past lives. Although they had visited her home after falling in love, it was her home in Linen, not her home in Changchang. Speaking of which, she must have a phone at this time and can call her directly, but the problem is that Gu Changchang forgot her phone number. After all, it has been more than a decade, and he can't be blamed for forgetting. Who remembers their ex-girlfriend's phone number after breaking up? It seems like we can only wait until we enter university to find her. Gu Changjiu couldn't help but smile when he thought of Mu Handan. In fact, after talking about so many girlfriends for so long, her favorite ex-girlfriend is still her. If it weren't for her decision to go abroad and his decision to stay in China due to Aunt Luo, and their destined long-distance relationship, Gu Changjiu wouldn't have broken up with her. She is a very special girl, and in the next decade or so, she will never see such a girl again. First love is always special. Looking back on Mu Handan, I couldn't help feeling a little melancholy in my heart. We couldn't say we were too regretful, after all, it was the inevitable outcome after both of us made choices. But this life has been over again, and he doesn't want to see other men approaching her. He has talked about so many girlfriends, and when he gets tired of playing with them, he kicks them and doesn't care about her future life. However, Mu Handan is his first love and holds a completely different position in his heart. So, whether she is reborn or not, Gu Changchang plans to pursue her again. At least catch her in your own pond and become a fish in your own fish pond, not only because of the reluctance to part with your first love, but also because her family is very wealthy. If she can win the favor of her future mother. In-law who did not recognize her in her past life, entrepreneurship will become easier. As Gu Changchang thought of this, he couldn't help but sigh lightly. Although he felt that his mentality had become younger after being reborn, his way of thinking about problems was still the same as before, and he couldn't avoid subconsciously thinking about benefits. This made him couldn't help but feel a little sad. My pure love era, along with my youth back then, was given to Mu Handan. As she went abroad, it also went with the wind. As the sky gradually darkened, Luo Xinmei began to serve the prepared dishes one plate after another. Gu Changchang and Gu Qingqian got up and went to the kitchen to pick up chopsticks and a bowl of rice. Soon, everything was set up. On the dining table, with all the colors, flavors, Gu Qingqian wanted to use her chopsticks first, but was slapped by Gu Changchang before putting them down with some grievances. Luo Xinmei untied her apron and threw it aside, revealing her plump and mature figure. She opened a bottle of red wine and poured it for all three of them. She held a red wine glass and smiled on her dignified and elegant, mature and pretty face. Do you want to drink today? A rare good day. Luo Xinmei was clearly very interested, and the wine had already been poured, so she didn't want the two of them to refuse. Therefore, Gu Changchang and Gu Qingqian didn't object. Seeing this, Luo Xinmei's mood was even more joyful. Gu Changchang raised his glass with Gu Qingqian and clinked it with Luo Xinmei. Gu Changchang smiled and said, "Thank you, Aunt Luo, for taking care of us. Thank you, Aunt Luo. Gu Qingqian also followed suit. He. Upon hearing this, Luo Xinmei took a sip of the red wine in her glass, her delicate and pretty face tinged with a faint blush. She dragged her voice and shouted with a hint of resentment, long term. What's wrong, Aunt Luo? Gu Changchang said calmly. Forget it. Luo Xinmei shook her head and shook the glass in her hand, unsure of what she was thinking. After taking a sip of the wine, Gu Qingqian put down his glass and started cooking. Only eat meat. Aunt Luo, I want to borrow some money from you. Gu Changchang put down his glass and said, I have some ideas. When I was in college, I wanted to try something. Borrow money. How much do you want to borrow? Luo Xinmei regained her senses and put down her glass. Seeing Gu Changchang's serious attitude, she couldn't help feeling a little strange in her heart. If possible, I would like 200,000 yuan. 200,000 yuan. What do you want so much money for? Luo Xinmei raised her eyebrows slightly and sat up straight. Gu Qingqian knew it must be the proposal, but she didn't speak up. After all, my brother would definitely explain it clearly. Used for entrepreneurship, Gu Changjiu said, Aunt Luo, are you willing to lend it to me? Entrepreneurship. Luo Xinmei raised her hand and pinched her eyebrows, looking deeply at Gu Changchang. She then lowered her head and pondered for a while, saying, I don't want to ask if you are confident. You have your own ideas from childhood to adulthood, and I can give you this money, but you must agree to one condition, you. I don't want it then. Gu Changjiu interrupted Luo Xinmei in an instant, causing her to get stuck. She opened her mouth and tried to poke Gu Changjiu with a resentful look, but when she saw that he wasn't moved, she whispered, It's really good. I'll do it for you without any conditions. I will return it to Aunt Luo within 2 years. Gu Changchang smiled and nodded. You don't need to pay it back. Although Aunt Luo isn't particularly wealthy, she still has a little bit of money. Luo Xinmei pouted, If you lose, you lose. Just treat it as if I invested in you. I don't like you being so generous. If you're still so generous, then I won't give you money. Gu Changchang chuckled and said, That's good. If you don't repay the money, then show filial piety to Aunt Luo. As long as your thoughts don't decline, there will always be more solutions than problems. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Dreams and Novels. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Dreams and Novels. Although the matter of money has been settled, Gu Changchang does not want it now. Although he started his business with the internet in his previous life, what he learned was not computer, but management. When he started his business with the internet, it was because he had a roommate who learned computer. Because the dormitory was divided by student ID, it seemed that a roommate from a different major was squeezed in because the student ID was too far behind. That roommate also became his close friend later on. However, with the injection of various capital, there was a frenzy of internal strife within the company. As someone who was not very good at these things, he cashed out and left earlier than Gu Changchang. It was precisely because of his departure that Gu Changchang became disheartened and left. So the matter of money is not urgent. Lying in bed, Gu Chang tossed and turned, making it difficult to fall asleep. At this moment, Juming slipped into the room and jumped onto the bed. The lights were turned off in the room, and the light was dim. Gu Changchang could only feel a furry object crawling next to his head. Gu Changchang reached out and touched Juming's head. It curled up next to the pillow and meowed, causing Gu Changchang to smile slightly. The 9 lives of the previous life also loved this. Is this the same cat? He withdrew his hand, and for some reason, Gu Changchang suddenly felt drowsy and his eyelids heavy. Before long, he fell into a deep sleep. He had a dream. In my dream, there were low shrubs scattered throughout the mountains and fields, all of which grew bright mountain red. He saw a young girl in a white dress holding a red reflection of the mountains, dancing gracefully among the flowers. Her eyes were unconsciously attracted by it, and she slowly walked towards her. The girl's appearance is blurry, but familiar. This familiarity is not brought about by the other person's appearance, but by one's own dream reminding oneself that one recognizes her. She saw him, picked up the hem of her skirt, and walked lightly towards him, then handed him the Yingshan red in her hand. "Hello, Gu Changchang. Will you marry me?" Gu Changchang stared at her in a daze, but before he could answer, the scene in his dream was like a single dot-sided glass shattered by a stone, instantly shattering into millions of pieces and scattered on the ground. He suddenly sat up, opened his eyes, panting heavily. After a while, he finally came to his senses and realized that he was dreaming. He touched the fine sweat on his forehead and looked at Jiuming, who was sleeping soundly next to him. He took a deep breath, got out of bed, went to the bathroom, and washed his face. "Is it because of that printed mountain red, that piece of paper, that I had this dream?" Gu Changchang returned to the bedside and took a breath. He didn't pay much attention to it, only thinking too much during the day and dreaming at night. Speaking of which, when I woke up, it was still 2002 and I didn't go back to 2019. It's good for Gu Changchang to lie back in bed. After all, if he goes back now, he might be burning in the crematorium. Well, we cannot assume that we have crossed back from that timeline in the future. It is possible that the whole world has regressed by more than a decade, and we have only managed to preserve our memories by chance. Thinking about it, Gu Changchang fell asleep again. This time, he didn't dream anymore. Upon waking up, Gu Changchang felt a bit moist on his face. He opened his eyes and found that Jiuming was licking his face. He reached out and pushed Jiuming away, sat up and moved around for a while, then got out of bed. He stretched lazily, feeling full of energy and couldn't help but sigh. At the age of 35, he often suffered from insomnia and became drowsy, feeling like his energy was being consumed. Perhaps it was because of alcohol and sex that he became haggard. It's time to quit drinking. After waking up, Gu Changchang rummaged through the wardrobe and found a basketball suit. After he changed, he strolled out the door and ran along the streets of the community in the morning. He had this habit since childhood and never let go of his work. After being reborn, of course, he couldn't stop. In the morning, the air was quite cool and fresh. After returning from the city 17 years later, Gu Changchang could feel how good the air quality is now, only feeling refreshed and happy. After running 2 laps and getting familiar with the surrounding environment, Gu Changchang found Luo Xinmei cooking breakfast in the kitchen. Back. Eat century egg and lean meat congee in the morning. Luo Xinmei heard the door open, looked out from the kitchen, and saw Gu Changjiu coming back to the kitchen. "Well, I'll go take a shower, Aunt Luo." After speaking, Gu Changchang returned to his room, found a laundry change, and took a shower. After taking a shower, Gu Qingxian didn't wake up yet. Gu Changchang pushed the door and walked into Gu Qingxian's room, only to find her wearing pajamas and still sleeping in. He walked to the bedside, reached out and grabbed Gu Qingxian's ankle, pulling hard in his direction. The commotion immediately made Gu Qingxian wake up. She hurriedly lifted her head and realized it was Gu Changchang. She breathed a sigh of relief and lay back. I got up, don't pull anymore." Gu Changchang let go of his hand and smiled, "Although it's a holiday, you can't sleep in. Get up and exercise." "I won't gain weight again," Gu Qingxian murmured as he slowly got off the bed. "Do you have nothing to do during your vacation?" Gu Changchang asked, "How do you plan to spend this vacation?" "I don't know." Gu Qingxian got out of bed and stretched lazily. The girl's figure was really good, to the extent that Gu Changchang couldn't even look directly at her. It was probably the charm of a 36D. As a girl who is only 18 years old this year, this kind of figure is enough to make those airport passengers want to crack their eyes. "Can I find something for you?" Gu Changchang leaned against the wall, hugging his chest with both hands and smiling. "You said," Gu Qingqian didn't hesitate, turned his back, took off his pajamas, threw them aside, and began to change clothes. Gu Changchang spat lightly and saw that she was about to take off her clothes. He had already turned around to face the wall and said, "It's all so big, don't pay attention." "What should I pay attention to with you?" Gu Qingqian sneered, "When we were inside Mom's belly, we lived without any trace for 10 months. Can that be the same?" Gu Changchang thought it was unbelievable, and there was such a reason. However, there is no need to continue this topic. Aren't you very good at writing essays? Help me write a long story. A long story. A novel. Gu Qingqian quickly changed into clothes. At home, she was dressed casually, with a shirt and short skirt for a cool breeze. She didn't even want to wear safety pants, after all, she didn't go out. "Are you interested?" Gu Changchang asked with a smile, carrying his back. "Have you ever read a novel before?" "I have seen Dream of the Red Chamber, Journey to the West, and so on." Gu Qingqian folded his pajamas, tidied up the bed, and only then walked over to Gu Changchang and pulled him over. "What story do you want me to write?" "Write casually and find something for you to do, otherwise the vacation will be too boring," Gu Changchang smiled. Gu Qingqian gave his elder brother a cold eye and said, "Writing without a purpose, can we write good things?" "Find your own goal," Gu Changchang said ruthlessly. "So let's write a story about you as the protagonist." Gu Qingqian thought for a moment and laughed, "Write a story about you falling in love and being stabbed all over your body." Gu Changchang felt a bit uneasy upon hearing these words, as he was often the one who left others covered in bruises. "Sure, write whatever you want. Do you want to show it to you when it's written?" Gu Qingqian paused for a moment before asking again. "If you want to show me, I'll see it. If you don't want to show me, I won't see it," Gu Changchang smiled. Upon hearing this, Gu Qingqian's eyes turned and he said, "All right, I understand. Okay, I'll start writing when I have dinner later." "Got inspiration?" Gu Changchang raised his eyebrows. "There's actually a story I've been wanting to write for a long time," Gu Qingqian smiled and paused for a moment before saying, "If you want to read it, you can read it. Only with readers can you have motivation." Gu Changchang asked Gu Qingqian to write novels because in his previous life, Gu Qingqian, who was 30 years old, started writing novels for some reason and even secretly opened a book online under the pen name Changchang. He clearly used his name as a pen name. The subject matter she writes is that kind of palace-style harem novels, and she is particularly famous. Gu Changchang himself also enjoys reading novels. When he saw this book online, he clicked on it and introduced 2 people at the beginning. The male lead was named Gu Changchang, and there was a younger sister named Gu Qingqian, who was surprised at the time. This was a bit too coincidental. When he asked, Gu Qingqian initially refused to admit it, but was quickly tricked out by Gu Changchang. The Gu Qingqian she wrote was particularly interesting. At first, she was gentle and weak, but later it was discovered that she had a dark belly and often provoked the female lead Xiluo Chang in the male lead's harem. She had a special tea and was given the nickname Tea Sister by her book friends. Gu Changchang still quite likes this character, it's also possible that it's because the name is similar to his own sister, a bit of a love affair. Back in 2002, Gu Changchang felt that Gu Qingqian might really have this talent, so why not let her start writing online articles early, and maybe become a platinum god or something in the future. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Obtaining Everything Without Effort. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Obtaining Everything Without Effort. After the 3 of them had breakfast, Gu Qingqian returned to his room to prepare. Luo Xinmei still has to work today. She works as a designer in a clothing company and is usually quite idle, with a particularly high salary. Otherwise, Gu Changchang wouldn't have thought of borrowing money from Luo Xinmei. After tidying up, Luo Xinmei went out to work. Gu Changchang had nothing to do at home and didn't want to disturb Gu Qingqian's creations. She planned to go out for a walk, but as soon as she opened the door, she saw a girl standing outside. The girl has a single ponytail and slanted bangs on her forehead. Her fox eyes seem to be naturally charged, and there is also a tear mole under her right eye. Her skin has a faint blush, with a hint of white to red. A very beautiful girl. Her appearance is about the same as that of Mu Handan, but her temperament is slightly plain, without the fairy-like aura on Mu Handan's body. She looks like a neighbor girl with a pure taste. Seeing Gu Changchang open the door, the girl who was about to knock on it was stunned for a moment, then smiled brightly and said, "What a coincidence. Are you planning to go out?" The girl's voice is gentle and pleasant, making her feel relaxed and happy. Gu Changchang squinted his eyes, so familiar. That's right, Li Yuzhen. Gu Changchang observed Li Yuzhen with great interest, feeling that there was still a considerable gap between her and the future. It's not that she will grow crooked in the future. She will still be so beautiful, but she has adopted a different style. Now, she looks like a girl next door. In the future, when she puts on makeup, it feels like the so-called pure desire ceiling, walking in a goddess-like manner. Now it's bare-faced, but Li Yuzhen's taste in dressing is not very good, it's a bit tacky. Why are you looking at me like this? What's on my face? Li Yu was really generous and didn't feel shy because of Gu Changchang's direct gaze. Instead, he rubbed his face strangely. No, wait a moment, I'll go get your admission letter. Gu Changchang shook his head. Do you want to come in and sit down? Is that okay? Li Yuzhen asked with a smile. During this period, the relationship between the two was quite good. They were neighbors and classmates, and since Gu Changchang had a good reputation at school, he could be considered friends with anyone. Li Yuzhen and Gu Changchang can also be considered friends. If there's anything you can't do, come in and sit down. Gu Changchang found a pair of Gu Qingqian's flip-flops from the shoe cabinet and threw them to Li Yuzhen. Li Yuzhen's height was certainly far behind that of Gu Qingqian, but the size of her small feet was not big, about the same as Li Yuzhen's 162 centimeters, and she was wearing them perfectly. Li Yuzhen was also polite and followed Gu Changchang into the room. Gu Changchang asked her to sit on the sofa first, then returned to his room, took out her admission letter, and handed it to Li Yuzhen. Jianghai Conservatory of Music is quite impressive. Are you still planning to go all the way? Gu Changchang sat on the nearby sofa and smiled. Li Yuzhen loves music very much and is determined to become a singer and hold a global concert tour. However, unfortunately, she didn't seem to have this fate in her past life. She has a voice and emotions, but her creative level is relatively average. After graduating from her previous life, she could only cover some other people's works. Later, some record companies targeted her and released some singles, but their sales were not very good. Later, the live streaming industry rose, and she became a host. Her beautiful appearance and beautiful voice gave her many fans, and she once again welcomed some collaborations with some record companies. However, at this time, I'm quite old, starting out in my 30s. To be honest, it's a bit too late. After graduating from high school, the two of them often contacted each other, and Gu Changjiu also wanted to help her by spending some money to establish a good relationship with her. However, when Li Yuzhen found out, he politely declined. She joked, "If you really want to help me, write me a song that can break the circle." Gu Changchang could only smile helplessly about this, as it was not his specialty. She had her pride, and Gu Changchang understood this and never mentioned helping her again from then on. The two of them kept in touch, and Li Yuzhen often sent him WeChat to complain about how difficult it was to be a live streamer. She was harassed by those fans every day, and some fans were disgusted to death. There was also a big boss who wanted to take care of her, but she had no background and dared not ask the other party's mother, so she could only refuse. Of course, she is not only willing to share these negative emotions, but also always willing to share other things with him. For example, when a new song is released, she is always the first to show it to Gu Changjiu and ask for his opinion. If the album sells well, she will call Gu Changjiu and Gu Qingqian out for dinner. She is a proud, serious, and spontaneous woman, but unfortunately, she only gained some fame in her 30s, and I don't know if she will have the chance to hold a global concert tour in her lifetime. She regarded Gu Changchang as a friend, and Gu Changchang also regarded her as a friend, so even though he had found so many women in his past life, he did not touch this woman. Obviously, her appearance was more beautiful than any other girlfriend he had found except for Mu Han. But that's from a past life. Now Li Yuzhen is only 18 years old. Li Yuzhen nodded forcefully and smiled, go and learn systematically. You'll have more opportunities in the future. I heard that there has been an incident in your family. Gu Changchang asked. It's not a big change, it's actually my uncle who passed away. I don't have much impression of him, but my dad said that he treated him well when he was young, so he wants to go back and participate. Oh, by the way, uncle is the saying from my hometown, it's my uncle's younger brother. Li Yuzhen explained, and she sighed. I'm so tired from taking the train back and forth these days, and I haven't brought my guitar back. After coming back, I just took a break and haven't done anything for the past month or two. What are you planning to do? Gu Changchang chuckled. I don't know, maybe we'll just learn a few songs, Li Yuzhen tilted his head. Or go to places like parks, play and sing, and see if we can earn some pocket money. Li Yuzhen's family conditions are worse than him, and her parents' combined salary is probably not half as high as Luo Xinmei's salary. Therefore, if she has time, she will go play and sing to see if she can earn some money, either for pocket money or to subsidize her family. Speaking of which, why didn't you see Gu Qingqian and Aunt Luo? Li Yuzhen asked curiously, did Aunt Luo go to work? Well, Qingqian is tinkering with something in the room, I don't want to disturb her, Gu Changchang nodded. Then I'll go back first, don't disturb her. Li Yuzhen quickly stood up after hearing this, but Gu Changchang didn't stop him. He smiled and said, I really wanted to go out for a walk. Let me see you off. Are you free now? Li Yuzhen held the graduation notice and raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard the words. He smiled and said, do you want to go to my house? I'll teach you how to play the guitar. Upon hearing this, Gu Changchang smiled and said, you have taught me in the future. Okay. The two of them left the room and went downstairs. Do you know Mu Han? Li Yuzhen walked side by side with Gu Changchang and asked with a smile. Gu Changchang was taken aback for a moment, then smiled and said, can you not recognize the 10,000 fans in school? How do you feel that your words have a hint of mockery? She is a very good person, similar to you, and I think you are quite similar to her. Li Yu said seriously, they are the kind of people who are very easy to get along with. Are you very familiar with her? Gu Changchang exclaimed in surprise. On the weekend of my sophomore year, I went to Dongdu Bridge to play and sing again. I met her and she stood beside me, listening to me sing and praising me for singing very well. She even recognized me. I was actually quite surprised at the time, after all, we were not in the same class. She actually knew me, and although she was a bit cold at school, she was actually a gentle person. She said she lived nearby and invited me to her house as a guest. Li Yuzhen smiled and said, when I get along with her, I always think of you. You two are really similar, both of you are good people. Wait, where did you say you met her? Gu Chang frowned as he stopped and asked. On the other side of Dongdu Bridge, Li Yuzhen tilted his head. What's wrong? It's okay, Gu Changchang smiled brightly. I really didn't expect it. I thought I would have to go to college to meet Mu Han, but in such an unexpected place, I got information about Mu Han's home address. I almost forgot to thank the boss. Thank you to the cute owner of Jin Hui Yinyao, thank you to the cute owner of Tang Sumo, thank you to the cute owner of 000Lioli000, and thank you all for your enthusiastic rewards. Thank you for your support. Due to the launch of new books, the daily word count for updated chapters should not be too high, so the Alliance Leader's bonus will be placed on the shelves after it is released. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Your Name. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Your Name. The brief cool time in the morning has come to an end, and a heatwave is surging. It is unlikely to be long before it rolls in. Changchang took Li Yuzhen downstairs and stopped, smiling, I won't go up. Also, I want to borrow your guitar. Do you know how to play guitar? Li Yu was a bit surprised. She originally wanted to teach Changchang how to play guitar. Do you have that kind of old guitar from the past? Changchang nodded. Yes, you wait. Li Yuzhen asked Changchang to wait in place, then hurriedly went upstairs. Not long after, she took a guitar down. Ha, this is my old guitar, grunt. Li Yuzhen ran for a while, gasping for breath. She calmed her breath and handed the guitar to Changchang. But what do you want a guitar for? The girl's fox eyes flickered with a faint doubt. Li Yuzhen did not doubt Changchang's words. He never lied. He said he knew guitar, so he knew guitar. She was just a little curious about what he did with guitar. Go back and perform for my sister. Changchang took the guitar and smiled. If it were in a past life, Changchang wouldn't mind telling her his true thoughts. Really? Li Yuzhen chuckled and said, oh, if you know how to play the guitar, would you like to go outside and sing with me? Make some pocket money, and you can earn dozens of dollars a day. For girls born in 2002, earning tens of dollars a day is definitely a big sum. After all, lollipops cost 10 cents a piece these days. However, such income is unstable after all, and it all depends on the other party's mood and level of wealth. If only I could earn several tens every day, it would also help alleviate the pressure of college tuition fees for my family. Sure, you can come find me then. Changchang didn't refuse, he smiled. Li Yuzhen clapped his hands and smiled, so tomorrow. I have nothing to do for now. Tomorrow. Then tomorrow. Changchang returned home with his guitar on his back. He first went to the kitchen refrigerator to take a look. Immediately, he returned to his room, opened the computer, searched through some information, and wrote down what he wanted on a note, all of which were songs from before 2002 and also songs he knew. Then, he came to the door of Changchang's room and pushed it open. He walked in and found Changchang sitting at his desk, turning his pen and thinking. Changchang, I'm going out for a trip and may not come back at noon. If I haven't come back by half, you can take care of your lunch yourself. If you have food at home, you can make your own lunch, Changchang advised. Changchang turned around with some confusion, where are you going? It's a little small matter, Changchang smiled. I'm going too. Changchang put down his pen and stood up. Hello, write your novel well. The sun is so bright outside, so be careful not to tan you, it won't look good. Changchang shook his head. I don't care. After a brief pause, Changchang said, I'm going to find Muhandan. It's not convenient for you to follow me. Are you really going to chase her? Changchang raised her eyebrows and frowned tightly. Her gaze slowly moved away and she sat back. You go, I won't get in the way, okay? Changchang smiled slightly, didn't say anything more, and turned around to leave. Changchang heard the sound of the door closing from the living room, pondered for a while, and continued writing, with deeper strokes than before. Changchang carried his guitar, took a taxi, and arrived at the Dongdu Bridge. The Dongdu Bridge spans the Changchang River, which is a river in the city of Changchang and is as turbid as the Yellow River all year round. Therefore, Changchang City is also named after it. Many of the nearby residential areas are considered river view houses, with high premiums and 1 or 2 villa clusters. Therefore, this is also known as the wealthy area. Mu Handan lives nearby, and it's not surprising that Gu Changjiu is there. Her family is very wealthy, and her mother is a very famous entrepreneur in the local area. Of course, fame comes from fame, as it is not a field that students like them can come into contact with, so few students guess Mu Handan's identity. After all, this is not the era when the internet is extremely developed in the future, and any information can be dug out. He did not inquire about the specific address of Li Yuzhen's Mu Handan family. He did not want Li Yuzhen to know that he had a certain desire for Mu Handan, so he borrowed a guitar and came to the vicinity of Dongdu Bridge. After getting off the car, Gu Changchang lifted his head to look at the sky. The scorching sun was blocked by clouds, and the heat of the weather was relieved. He walked around the area and then arrived at the square next to the bridge. Li Yuzhen was probably playing and singing around here before. When Mu Handan has free time, she likes to stroll around. She likes to take walks, enjoy music, and go to crowded and lively places to find a place to sit down. Then, she watches the crowd in a daze. Gu Changchang had pursued Mu Handan in his past life and became her boyfriend. He was very familiar with her habits, so he knew that the likelihood of encountering Mu Handan in the square was high. Whether it's possible to meet Mu Handan and attract her attention, let fate handle that matter. Gu Changchang found a prominent spot, took off his guitar bag from his back, took out his guitar and held it in his arms. He casually played with the guitar strings and smiled slightly. The story of time. The flowers in spring bloom, the wind in autumn, and the sunset in winter. I, a young and melancholic youth, once thought this way in ignorance. Gu Changchang's tall stature, handsome appearance, warm voice, and sunny image like a big boy quickly attracted a group of young female listeners in this bustling square. Subsequently, many young male listeners and some middle-aged people gathered around. Of course, Gu Changchang's singing skills cannot be said to be very good. He did not have a systematic learning experience, but after all, it was taught by Li Yuzhen back then, and his tone was still very accurate. Li Yuzhen even teased him back then, and he is actually very suitable to be a singer. His vocal range is wide, and his voice is very pleasant to listen to. Gu Changchang just smiled at this. Love must have it. I can't forget seeing you for the first time, a pair of charming eyes. Gu Changchang didn't put any hats or other things to hold money in front of him, and he came here many times to make money. So those people who wanted to give some money as a reward couldn't find a place to throw it away, so they could only applaud after he finished singing a song. I don't know which song to sing, but in Gu Changchang's line of sight, a unique figure appeared. She stood behind the crowd, quietly listening. Gu Changchang saw her and then shifted his gaze away, without deliberately pursuing her figure. It seems that there is indeed fate between him and her. After singing the song, The Fruit of Summer, Gu Changchang briefly paused for a moment, surrounded by enthusiastic applause, and he smiled back. The last song is Mu Handan's favorite song from her past life, Sunny Day. This song was released in July 2003, when Mu Handan, who had just entered his sophomore year, loved to hold an MP3 player and listen to it with him. This song from the future is a very special song for Mu Handan and for him. The little yellow flower of the story has been floating since its birth. The swing of childhood has been swaying with memories until now. Once upon a time, there was someone who loved you for a long time, but unfortunately, the wind gradually blew the distance so far away. I finally managed to love one more day, but at the end of the story, it seems like you said goodbye. After singing, he gently leaned forward and then put the guitar back in his bag. At this moment, applause and praise echoed around him again. Gu Changchang turned a deaf ear, but by the time he put his guitar bag back on his back, most of the people around him had already dispersed, and a girl with a special temperament walked up from the crowd. Your name is Gu Changchang, right? End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Make friends. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 10 Make Friends. Changchang lifted his head and looked at Mu Handan. She was wearing a sky-blue knee-length dress, elegant and cold. He didn't deliberately show any surprise, but smiled and said, Mu Handan. Do you recognize me? Mu Handan casually draped her long hair over her shoulders, her gaze distant, and her tone calm. There was not much to see in her pair of auspicious phoenix eyes. Of course I recognize you. You are a celebrity in our school, Gu Changjiu smiled. But I didn't expect to meet you here. My home is nearby, Mu Handan explained and said, the last song just now was very beautiful. Can you tell me whose song it is? Jay's. Gu Changchang looked around and now everyone had dispersed, leaving only two people. Is that right? Mu Handan's pretty face showed a faint doubt, is his new song. Gu Changchang turned his head and looked at Mu Handan. The feeling emanating from those eyes was somewhat unfamiliar. Gu Changchang remained silent for a while, closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and then smiled slightly. Do you really like his songs? He can be certain that Mu Handan is not reborn and has no memories of her past life. She is not a good performer, but just now her performance was very normal. If Mu Handan had placed the azalea and a note in his room, it was likely that Mu Handan had a heart to reunite with him. After hearing the familiar, sunny day, from the future, she must have known that he had also been reborn, but her current attitude is still so light and ethereal. Although Mu Handan has a less expressive side, she is by no means an affected woman. If she really wanted to reconcile with him, she wouldn't have this attitude now. Gu Changchang knows her too well, so there seems to be something fishy about the flowers. I've heard of it before and liked his tornado, Mu Handan nodded slowly. I often heard others talk about you at school. You are very popular among girls, but I haven't heard of you playing guitar and singing. I just have a slight understanding, Gu Changjiu smiled and said, there's nothing to do during the holiday, so I'll come out to relax. Do you want to take a walk together? Mu Handan paused for a moment, then looked at Gu Changchang and saw that his gaze was clear and his smile was sunny. She pondered for a moment but did not refuse. This is the first time I have received a proposal from a boy to take a walk together. The boys around me are either too scared to look directly at her at first glance, or they just confess, which makes her somewhat annoyed. The two walked side by side, Gu Changchang, who was 180 centimeters tall, and Mu Handan, who was 170 centimeters tall, looked quite compatible. However, there was a relatively close distance between the two, which disrupted the atmosphere and beauty between them. I remember Mu Handan's grades were very good, right? You should be able to attend schools like Qingbei, right? Gu Changchang sighed slightly. I chose Zhejiang University, Mu Handan shook her head. My grades happen to be close to Qingbei on a daily basis, and I don't want to gamble. Besides, Zhejiang University is better for me. She had revealed in her past life that her mother hoped she would attend Zhejiang University because if she really got into Qingbei and went to the capital alone, she wouldn't be very confident. Moreover, she will inherit the family business in the future and does not need the school to gild her. Zhejiang University. That's really a coincidence. Gu Changchang was a bit surprised and immediately smiled, my sister and I also chose Zhejiang University. So, we'll still be classmates in the future. I'm in business administration, and you? Mu Handan was taken aback for a moment, then looked at Gu Changchang. It is not surprising that Gu Changchang was able to be admitted to Zhejiang University. Many of her friends have a good impression of Gu Changchang, and under the influence of her, Mu Handan also has a preliminary impression of Gu Changchang. It is said that his academic performance is very good. But I didn't expect the two of them to still be in the same major. It's quite a coincidence that I also studied business management, Mu Handan thought for a moment and smiled slightly. Then I can be considered to have some care in the future. Are you also in business administration? Gu Changchang was surprised for a moment and then chuckled, why don't you leave your contact information? Let's report together when the time comes. Mu Handan hesitated for a moment and gave her contact information to a male classmate. She had never done such a thing before, but it was really difficult to refuse. After all, Gu Changchang's reasons were legitimate, and she did not object to this handsome young boy with a sunny smile. With this in mind, Mu Handan asked, "Do you have a phone?" "Yes, there is." Gu Changchang took out his Nokia and said, "Leave your phone number." "You say, I remember." Mu Handan revealed her number, and after Gu Changchang pressed it, she called. Not long after, Mu Handan's phone rang, and she took out her phone and saved it into her SIM card. The number that attracts thousands of people in school, I don't know how many boys dream of it, Gu Changjiu joked with a light smile after saving the number. Upon hearing this, Mu Handan suddenly regretted giving the number to Gu Changchang. She thought he was a serious person, but now it doesn't seem particularly serious. However, his sunny and boyish appearance when he smiles makes it difficult for people to raise any negative emotions towards him. There are also many girls who want your number, don't you know? On the girls' side, you are also a fan of the school. Mu Handan smiled slightly. I must say something I have, maybe many people come back to me to ask for it. Gu Changchang couldn't help but chuckle and said, "That's good. I won't tell anyone this number, and you shouldn't tell anyone my number. Let's keep this secret from each other. Deal?" Mu Handan nodded. Gu Changchang stared at her for a while, then smiled helplessly and said, "I suddenly feel a little regretful that I only met you so late after 3 years in high school." "Why? If we had known each other earlier, we might have become friends now," Gu Changjiu grinned. "As someone, I really enjoy making friends. For years in college, aren't you still classmates?" Mu Handan averted her gaze and didn't look at Gu Changchang's face again. His smile has a strong infectious power. No wonder many girls like him, not to mention his personality. Just this face is already easy to cultivate a good impression. Gu Changchang smiled and shook his head, looking for a bench. "Let's take a break. You sit here for a while, and I'll go buy a bottle of water." "What are you drinking?" Mu Handan originally intended to refuse, but thought that the two of them had been classmates for 4 years in college and were likely to get close in the future. With such a small favor, there was always a chance to repay it, so she said, "Mineral water is good." Gu Changchang, carrying his guitar, quickly ran to the small shop next to the square to buy 2 bottles of mineral water. When he returned, he saw Mu Handan staring at the crowd in a daze. Gu Changchang sat next to her first, then handed her the mineral water. "I also like lively places. Compared to the quietness at home, it's still here that makes people feel more comfortable, right?" Mu Handan regained her senses and upon hearing Gu Changchang's words, she gave him a deep glance, took the mineral water, and slowly unscrewed the bottle cap. "Yes," she said, "I heard your mother is a businesswoman named Mu Wanqing, right?" Gu Changchang also unscrewed the bottle cap and took a sip, then said, "Do you know?" Mu Handan stared blankly at Gu Changchang. "By chance, my aunt is a fashion designer who barely managed to get in touch with that circle. Just a few days ago, she told me that she is particularly talented. She can even start her own business with a child, and she is studying at Changchang High School with my daughter. When I thought about it, it seemed like you were the only one with the surname Mu in the school." Gu Changchang smiled slightly. Mu Wanqing, it's my mother." Mu Handan nodded, feeling slightly down. "She doesn't have much time to spend with you, does she?" Gu Changchang looked at the crowd. Although there is nothing lacking at home, staying at home feels very lonely, empty, and lonely. Mu Handan remained silent and did not speak. "Looking at the happy and harmonious appearance of their family, I feel envious, right?" Gu Changchang smiled slightly as he looked at the families on the square who came to play with their children. "Sometimes I also have this idea. I have never seen my father since I was young, and I have a conflict with my mother. I was raised by my aunt. It's funny that my aunt has no legal relationship with me, and she doesn't have to care about us. Mu Handan listened to him express her thoughts, feeling an indescribable piercing pain in her heart, which made her feel a bit annoyed. She didn't want to hear Gu Changchang continue, but after hearing his words, she couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Although my aunt treats me very well and I have a twin sister with me, I still like to make friends, because making friends can make me less lonely. Gu Changchang paused for a while and said, "But you don't seem to have other sisters and brothers around you. You should be lonely from childhood to adulthood, right?" Mu Handan's breathing was a bit rapid, and she held on to the corners of her skirt with both hands, feeling uneasy in her heart. "I know you also have many friends, but I'm curious. Do you have true friends?" Gu Changchang looked at her and asked with a smile. "I don't know." Mu Handan looked very cramped. She hated the feeling of being dissected, as if she had no worries. "We're really like each other, but I'm luckier than you," Gu Changzhou smiled. "Do you want to meet my aunt and my sister? They might really like girls like you, especially my aunt." Mu Handan looked at Gu Changchang and saw that he was still smiling, with a sunny smile and clear eyes, which was hard to dislike. Why does he know him so well? Mu Handan nervously recalls her high school years. She has always been low-key, even if she makes friends, she always hides her worries and doesn't surface them. She doesn't have much interaction with him before, at most she meets him. Why, for the first time today when we truly met, the other person could fully understand her thoughts. We're really like each other. Has he ever had his own thoughts like this? Has he ever experienced such a mood before? Make friends, Mu Handan. Gu Changchang smiled brightly. Mu Handan looked at him in a daze and nodded mysteriously. End of this chapter.